Well, hello everybody. You know it's getting to be colder weather, so a lot of my subscribers said, please make us some soup. So I've started making soup recipes. Today we're going to make an old-fashioned cowboy soup. This is soup that they ate out on the trail when they cooked over a campfire. They had to have things easy because they didn't have refrigeration, in the chuck wagon to be able to keep meat and other things cold to keep it from spoiling. So what they did was they brought a lot of canned vegetables right out of the garden that the women had canned. They packed the chuck wagon full of food that they didn't have to worry about spoiling, like jar canned vegetables, flours, rice, all that kind of thing. And even potatoes, but a lot of times they could still get potatoes in a can or some that the women had canned from the garden. And that's what we're going to do today. I'm going to show you how the cowboys made their cowboy soup. So let's get at it. Now, I have leftover bell pepper, the cowboy stuffed bell pepper that I made the other day. I've got 4 of them. They're little ones, but that's enough. Now, if you don't have any of these left to be able to use them in your soup, what you can do is use about a pound of ground beef. Just brown it with onions and chili powder, garlic, cumin. Season it to your taste. Or you can add a package of taco seasoning, because that's what my bell pepper had in it. So therefore, I don't have to add quite as much seasoning to my soup since I'm using my cowboy bell peppers. But like I said, you're free to use taco seasoning. You can pick up some for less than $1 for a package and just use that in your ground beef when you brown it with your onions, okay? So we're going to get after it. Let me wash my hands first. But this is going to be a really good soup. The kids will love it. The adults love it. And it's real easy to fix on a cool day. And you can have plenty of leftovers. You can even freeze this if you make a big pot of it and you have a lot of it left over and you don't want to eat soup for a whole week. Just freeze it in small containers, individual containers. And you can take it out and warm it up anytime you want. But like I said, first of all, we're going to take our bell peppers. And what I'm going to do is squeeze my bell pepper to get all my meat out of it. And the cheese. Yeah, you'd have to add cheese to your ground beef if you're going to make it like I'm doing with the bell peppers. And you can add whatever cheese you want to it. I used cheddar cheese. And I used, I think it was provolone cheese in mine. But you can use cheddar, you can use whatever. But the best to use is the cheddar. Or like I said, you can use provolone. Use whatever cheese you got in your refrigerator. It doesn't matter if it's Mexican cheese or whatever. I don't know for sure that back in the day the cowboys had access to cheese on their chuck wagon. They may have or they may not. But cheese is always good to add. On my version of cowboy soup, I like the cheese flavor in it. And you can see I had cheese down in the bottom of my baking dish. So I'm just going to scrape that out and put it right in the soup. Now I'm going to start heating this up. And if you, like I said, if you have to, you then use a pound of beef, brown your onions, brown your beef, put in a package of taco seasoning, and then you can add the other seasonings as I add them later. And I've got, my bell peppers had beans, kidney beans. So I'm not going to add kidney beans because I've got beans in my meat. But you can add a can of pinto beans, even chili beans, chili with beans in it. That way you don't have to brown your meat. You've already got your chili with your beans in your can. So you can just add that. And that works great. Now what I'm doing is I'm just going to chop up my bell peppers because I don't want to put the peppers in their whole. If you're using chili out of a can with beans in it, then you can just add bell pepper if you have it. I don't think the Cowboys always had bell pepper to put in it. But if you do have some, you can add it. It's just an added flavor to your soup. They may have had a dried pepper that they could put the dehydrated pepper into their soup. And that could have been a bell pepper or a hot pepper. Basically any kind of pepper. But my recipe calls for the bell pepper. So that's why I don't mind using my leftover Cowboy stuffed bell peppers. Now you don't want your peppers in great big chunks. You want to kind of cut them down a little bit. So see, some of you might have been afraid to cook so much so many bell peppers because you couldn't eat them all. Well, this is a way that you can cook a whole pan full of bell pepper and not have so much bell peppers to get rid of, because you can later put them in some soup. Now, I've got a can of green beans. Let me get my can opener. Because all the cans today are not pop top. And I'm just going to put liquid and all in there, because it's going to cook down. I've got a can of diced potatoes. Now, if you don't want to use diced potatoes in a can, just peel a couple of potatoes, dice them up, throw them in your soup in the beginning. That way, while everything else is heating up and getting acquainted with one another, as I call it, your potatoes will cook. And I'm going to drain the water out of my potatoes, because I don't want too much water in my soup. But you can see they're diced tomatoes. I mean potatoes, not tomatoes. Get my facts straight here. I've got a can of diced tomatoes. Now, if you have fresh tomatoes, or like I said, tomatoes in a can that you canned from the garden, just put your jar of tomatoes in there. And I am going to put just a little bit of water in there like that, just to get some of the goodness out of the can. I've got a can of whole kernel corn. I mean, this is a great soup, for people that work. They want a really good soup for dinner, but they don't want to spend hours in the kitchen to make it. Now, I think I will add the water from the corn. Yeah, and this is going to make quite a bit of soup. I'm going to add 1 chicken bouillon, or you can put like a tablespoon of beef broth. I mean, beef bouillon if you got the powdered. I've got the cube, so I'm going to put 1 cube in there. Or you can use, like I said, chicken broth, chicken bouillon. I've got garlic. I'm just going to shake a little bit more in there, because I already had a little bit of garlic in my, probably about 1/4 of a teaspoon. I'm going to add chili powder, about 1/4 of a teaspoon of that. I've got ground cumin, put about 1/4 of a teaspoon of that in there. I got pepper and salt. Now this, you just season to your taste. I mean, I've seasoned my stuff for so long, I pretty much know how much to put in there that I like. And that's probably about 1/3 of a teaspoon. Got like 1/3 of a teaspoon of salt. And I can always add salt later. And we're going to mix this up. Might have to chop up your stuffed peppers that you dumped in there, because you know they're kind of molded to fit the peppers, so you might have to break that apart. And they are cold, so but this is going to be a thick soup. It's not going to be like a real watery soup. And it'll come apart more when it's heated up. It's not heated up yet. Yeah, after a long, hard day on horseback, chasing horses or chasing cattle down the trail, even the cook, you know, is tired. And they didn't want to spend all night trying to cook dinner for all these cowboys. Yeah, all that cheese will melt again and mix in with everything else. But you know, if you're a mom working and you got kids and you got to feed maybe 4 or 5 people at night when you get off work and you're already tired from working an 8-hour shift, doesn't matter if you're in an office or doing manual labor, you're tired after an 8 hours work day, and you don't want to come home and spend all night in the kitchen trying to cook a decent meal. So this is a way to come up with a real nutritious meal, healthy, and it doesn't take all night to cook it. You know me, I'm all about quick, easy, inexpensive, and not spending a lot of fuss. You know, I don't want to do a lot of fuss with my food. Yeah, I'm already getting my plate ready because this is my lunch today. Did not eat breakfast. When I do a cooking video, I don't eat that day. I don't eat until I make my video and my meal is done, and then I eat what I cook. And then I either freeze leftovers, or sometimes I do both. I'll put some in the refrigerator for the next day or so, and then I'll freeze part of it. That way the next time I want cowboy soup, all I got to do is take a small container out of the freezer, pop it in the microwave, defrost it, and I've got my dinner or my lunch right there. I'm also going to use Texas. It's called, and I have already opened these. And I got these at H-E-B. They're Texas shaped chips. They're white corn chips, but look at this. They're shaped like Texas, y'all. How neat is that? They're shaped like Texas. And I'm going to serve these with my soup as soon as I get it done. Right along with a little bit of sour cream. And I keep walking over my squeaky floor. I hear sirens in the background. There's either a wreck or something's going on. See, in this case, all I've got to do with my soup is heat it up, bring it to a boil, and boil it for, let it simmer and boil for about 5, 10, 15 minutes. So all the flavors kind of get together, and it's really good and hot, and then you can serve it. So it's not going to take that long. I get it to boil. But everything was cold, so yeah, you can get canned vegetables now. This time of year especially, a lot of times they run them on sale, 2 cans for $1, and you can mix and match your vegetables. So you can make a big pot of soup with 4, 5, 6 cans of vegetables. I've got corn, I've got potatoes, tomatoes, yeah, that's all I used. I used four cans of veggies. Corn, tomatoes, green beans, and the potatoes. And then I already had my beans in my meat. So you can add maybe 2 cans of chili with beans in it, and that's going to take care of your beef and your beans. Or you can brown your beef, like I said, put a little taco seasoning in it, and then get a can of either pinto beans, kidney beans, black beans, any type of bean of that type, and put it in your soup. I've got kidney beans in mine because remember, that's what I put in my stuffed peppers. But if you cook it a little bit, the cheese will melt and get mixed all in with everything else. And stick to your spoon, like it's doing to mine, because my spoon is cold. Sticking to my spoon, because like I said, my spoon is cold, so that cheese just latched right onto it. I don't know if you can see my soup in here. pot up so you can see it a little bit. You might have to enlarge your picture. And like I said, you can use ground turkey, you can use ground chicken, ground beef. It doesn't matter. But the authentic one, they use ground beef. Because I guess since they run cattle all the time, they had an abundance of beef. They didn't have a shortage of beef usually. And you can meat. I've never done it because you need a special canning pressure cooker that's especially for canning. I don't have one. Mine is just for food preparation, you know, like cooking beans and that type of thing. It's not for canning. So I wouldn't doubt that they didn't even can their beef back years ago, as soon as they were able to come up with something to do the canning in. It's starting to boil now, so we're going to let it boil for a little bit. I don't like this cheese sticking to my spoon. Oh, some of the subscribers have commented that, oh, they can't wait till this cold weather hits. They'd rather have cold weather than the extreme heat. I like this time of year where you don't need heat, you don't need AC, and it's comfortable, and you're not sweating. But you know, usually it gets either too hot or it's too cold. Usually it's not in between. I'm going to bring the camera over just a minute and let you see. There's my pot. You can see my soup going. It's just started to boil good. And you can see it's fairly thick. It's not real soupy like a lot of soup is. It's mostly water. This is a hearty, thicker soup. Because this was these guys' meal, you know. Now you can serve this with toasted bread if you'd like. Or the chips, either one. Today I'm going to serve it with my chips. But it would go real good, and I don't know what type of bread they ate with their soup. Back in the trail days, probably whatever kind of bread they had, if they had any. But garlic bread would be, garlic toast would be real good with this. Get my spoon hot so this cheese don't stick to it as bad. It's looking good, y'all. Yeah, at the most you only need to boil it for 10-15 minutes, not long at all. And that just makes all the ingredients happy. If you can say that's happy. But we'll move this back. I can't imagine the size of the pot that they used on the trail, you know, to cook enough for all the men. They may have had to use several pots. I don't know. Depends on how many guys were there. Because, you know, guys eat a lot anyway. And you've been working hard riding horses all day. You're ready to eat. And I'm going to taste this for seasoning. Perfect, just the way it is. I'm going to ladle up a bowl of it. Look at that. Don't that look good? Get some of these chips. Oops. Some of these Texas white corn chips. Now, they may have had some kind of a corn chip back then. I don't know. But, you know, they either had cornbread or some type of bread that they could fix over the fire to eat with their soup. So I'm not sure which one. You can also take some sour cream. Put you a dab of sour cream. Now, I don't know that they had sour cream back in the day. But I have some. And I'll guarantee you that sour cream is real good on this soup. Now, a lot of times, you can eat it just by dipping your chip right in there. Dear Lord, bless this food I'm about to eat and bless all the people in YouTube land. Y'all take a bite. I don't want to hold it too far over there. It's going to drip on the floor. And another kind of chip Let me see. Here's the bowls, the tortilla chip dippers. You can use these. Well, maybe I won't open these because I've got this one bag already open. But they're shaped like little bowls, and I wish I could show them to you. But you can dip those right in there and you get a lot of the broth. Opened them anyway. See, just like that. Get the little dippers. They're like little bowls. But then you got to be prepared to put the whole thing in your mouth. But you just fill it full of your soup and put a little bit of your sour cream on there and let it cool before you put it in your mouth. Kids would love this, to use the little dippers chips with them. I don't know if I can get that whole thing in my mouth. But look how good that looks. Don't that look good? Mmm. Mmm. That is so good. Now I'm going to go ahead and turn my soup off. And I forgot to tell you, if you don't have diced tomatoes and you got a can of tomato sauce on hand, just put that in there. Or fresh tomatoes, chop them up and put them in there. That would equal to the amount of 1 can of tomatoes. And you can eat it right off the spoon, y'all. Mmm. That's a winning soup right there. Y'all need to try it. And like I said, you can serve the chips with it. You can dip the chips in your soup. You can crumble them up and put them in your soup. Or you can use the little dippers. And all the dippers are, you know, sometimes are broke. But just like that. Cool it off. Mmm. Mmm. That's some good cowboy soup. Y'all need to try this recipe. Try it and enjoy it. And I'll see you on the next one. Love y'all. Bye now.